Okay, so we already have a constructor. We have a constructor in the point main.java, and then we have this constructor, and also we see that point main tree has no error because we created a constructor. So this constructor has two parameters. So we want to create the value of x and y because in this case we have point. Okay. So the common constructor box. Okay. You know what the meaning by box? Okay. We call box. Usually it is to indicate errors. Okay. Errors. If we have errors, then we call it box. So the common constructor box, the first is accidentally writing a written type such as void. So if you type void, is it true? So if you type this one, now you can see it is different. It becomes error. And then the error message is we need to remove the arguments. So it means we cannot have those two arguments, or we need to create constructor. So we need to create constructor and there should be two parameters. Okay. So hope you understand. You cannot write the void. Okay. And then the other kind of bugs or the other kind of errors is you store into local variables. What does it mean? This x is a global variables. Okay, we call this is global variables. So this x refer to the global variable. So that's why the color is blue. You can see. If it is blue, then it is global variable. But if you insert with the data type, now the color becomes brown. It means this becomes a local variable. Okay, so in this case, it will be also an error because I want to update the global variable. I do not want to have the local variable. So this is wrong. So this is the correct one. Okay. Be careful when you do the constructor. So when you do with this int, then this declares local variable with the same name as the fields, rather than storing values into the fields. So the fields remain 0. Okay, be careful with this one. We can have multiple constructors. So a class can have multiple constructors. But each one, okay, so every constructor must accept a unique set of parameters. What does it mean? If you want to have two constructors, so the two constructors should be different, but those two constructors should have two fields, or there should be two attributes. Now, write a constructor for point objects that accepts no parameter. Okay, so the key point here is accept no parameters and initialize the points to the origin 0.0. So I can say like this one, construct a new point 0.0. Okay, I will just use this one. Okay, I will just use this one. I will copy and paste this one, and then I will put it into this file, .java. So let's just put in the top. Okay. So after you put the point with a parameter, and then you set the x equal to 0 and y equal to 0, now you can see find main becomes no errors. Okay. So it means one class, there are two constructors. The first constructors, we want to set the x and y equals to 0. The second constructor, we have two parameters, and the value of x and y depending on the parameters. Okay. So by the default, okay, if you have this one, Java does know how to print objects. So if you have P and then you want to print P, so it will show the object like this one. Okay, so for example, let me call this. Okay, let me just use this one. Point P, I will make in the testing. Okay. So I have one Java class testing. So you can create your own testing Java class, and then I have main. Now I'm making a new object P, and then this object P has a value of x equals to 10 and y equals to 7. Now I would like to print P. What is P? So it's object that you cannot read. What is it? Okay. So this is like the memory in the computer, memory address on the computer. So in order to see the result, yeah, you can just use this one. So for example, we have P is Px and Py. So if I use this one, I want to print the P.x and I want to print the P.y. Now I will get the result, x is 10 and y is 7. Now, how if I want to use this one, but the result will be 10,7. So there's one way, we call it toString. Okay. We have a method toString. So when we call the toString, it will print all the attributes. So if I call the P1, this one, it is still not printing all the attributes. But if I do this one, P1.toString, then you will see all the attributes. Every class has a toString, even if it is not in your code. So whenever you create a Java class, it has a toString method automatically. So it's based on the Java, yeah? And the default is the class name and a hexadecimal, or yeah, this one is called a hexadecimal, and the basis is the base 16. We will get something like this one. So you will see this one, point blah 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 blah. So it is in the hexadecimal. We can understand. So that's the toString. So if we want to change that one, then you can call. So you can create the toString. What is the toString? So the toString will return a string, and then you need to define what you want to return. So in this case, I can go to the pointer Java, and usually I will put it into the last section of the Java class. So I have public string. What does it mean by this public string? Let me call the name.
Yes.
Okay, so what does it mean by this string? Public string to string. What does it mean by this string?
Character?
Yeah. What does it mean by this string? You don't know?
Yes.
Okay. You know or you don't know?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
Yes.
So Yi Sung Han, right here.
Yes.
Okay, so what does it mean by this string? Public string to string. Why there is a string here?
Oh,
Oh, sorry. You know or you don't know?
oh, sorry. I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. Okay, Adam.
Yes.
Adam. Adam, are you here?
Yes.
Okay. So do you know what does it mean by this string?
그 더블 스트리 더블 쿼트.
Double quote. Yeah, there's double quote. Okay. But what does it mean by the public string to string?
into
This string. What is the meaning by this string? No?
variable. Let's
Variable. Okay. We want to return a variable that is a string.
string. Yes.
That's right. Okay, good. Thank you. So this is a string because as ER mentioned, it is in between the double quote. Okay, so everything in between double quote will be considered as string. So we want to return a string when we call the method toString. Okay. So if you call this one, toString. So if we call this one, you can take a look the result. Now, when you call only P, now the result shows 10,7. So it is immediately show the result according to your definition, which is this one. Opening bracket, and then X, comma, Y, and then closing bracket. The second one is using our own definition to print the string. And the third one, we use the method toString. So all those three give you the same result. Okay. So let's take a look on the point main form. Okay, so in the point main form, yeah, I think it's more complex. We have point, and we have the constructor with two parameters, and then we have the P1, P2. We want to see the result of P1. We want to see the result of P2. And then I want to see the distance from the origin. Oops, this one should be P2, I guess. Yeah, this is not P1. The distance from origin for the object P2. And then let's suppose P1 is translated into 6,6. No, sorry, 11,6. And then P2 is translated into 1,7. So what is the value of P1 and P2? And then the last one, we want to get the distance. Okay. So now, without executing this one, what is the value of P1? Ijebu?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So can you know what is the value of P1?
9.
9?
18.
18? Okay. Only one value?
8.
18?
18.8.
8. Okay, that's correct. So P1 will be 18,8. So let's check later, okay? And then I want to know from Ijangsa, what is the value of P2?
5 and 10.
5 and 10.
10.
Okay, so let's see. That's correct. So P1 is 18,8, and then P2, the new one is 5,10. Okay, because we want to translate from the original value 7,2 to 11 plus 11 for the x and plus 6 for y. And then the P2 will be plus 1 for the x and plus 7 for the y. And we will get the result. For the distance from origin, you will calculate the distance from 0. And for the distance P1 and P2, yeah, you will use this kind of way to calculate. Okay. There's a concept about encapsulation. It's a little bit difficult to explain this one, but I can just simply say we can hide the implementation details of an object from its clients. So it means it is an abstraction. So we want to separate the external view from the internal view. We have something in the internal that we do not want to share to the external. And the encapsulation protects the integrity of the object's data. So let's see this one. Whenever you have the data, you will have the data with only data type. int, y, int, x. Okay. But this means that the data can be shared globally. Anyone can access the data. Yeah, because this is only the data about x and y, then no problem. But what about if this data is sensitive? For example, this is the data about your money. So this is the amount of money you have in your bank account. Or maybe this is the data about your password. So if it is a sensitive data, then you cannot just open to public. if you take a look on this, whenever you call P1, you will see the data. Whenever you call the object, you will see the data. Now, I do not want to do that one. So there is one way we can use private. Okay. So what is the meaning by private? So the private is no code outside the class can access or change it. So if I put this one private, if I save, then you can see point main has an error, testing has an error, and point main 3 also has an error. Right? Because every of these objects access the data directly. So I do not want to use private because I cannot access the data directly. Yes, that's true. But if you use private, then you will secure your data. You will make your data more safe. So yeah, like this example, you will see that there is an error in every of the code. So in order to fit with this kind of environment, then you need to make a new method. So we call this is, we can provide methods to get or and to set. So we call this is get set. So it is very common in the object oriented. When you are making a class, you need to make get method and you need to make set method. The get method means we want to read only access to the field. We call it this is accessor. If we want to set, it means we want to modify. Okay, we want to modify the value. So it means this is the mutator. You still remember accessor and mutator. Accessor is only to get the value without changing. But mutator, we want to modify. So usually we will modify for every variable. So if you have two variables, then you will have two get. So it means get x and get y. And then you will have two sets, set x and set y. So the client code will be something like this one. System.out.println p1.getx, p1.getY. And then if we want to set with the new value, then we will use p1.setx. Now, there is a new point class. Okay. So let me just call your name again. Lee Hongyu. Lee Hongyu, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to ask. Now we have how many methods? Can you mention here from the class diagram? How many methods do we have?
Three.
Do you know?
Mm,
Lee Hongyu?
yes.
Yeah, do you know how many methods do we have based on this class diagram? 4? You don't know?
6.
6? Almost correct. Almost correct.
5.
5. Okay. Why?
Point
Why?
stand location 아닌데?
Sorry? Yeah? Sorry? Why 5?
Why 5?
Yeah. Why you mentioned 5? You don't know? Or you just guess?
Yes.
You just guess. Okay. Then let me ask Im Junior. Im Junior, are you here?
Yes.
Okay. So do you know why it is 5?
Use the private index into I.
No. I mean, uh, when you answer that the number of methods are 5. Why it is 5?
Public point is no case method,
So point. Yeah,
not
this is
method.
not this is not a method, but this is a what is it? Do you know?
I don't know.
You know? Okay. So this is a constructor. Okay. The constructor name will be the same with the Java class name. Okay. So the constructor name will be the same with the Java class name. So that's why we cannot say this is a method. If it is a method, then yeah, the name will be different with the Java class. So like distance from origin, get X, get Y, set location, trace it. Okay, so that's the method. That's why the method there are 5. Okay. Now, yeah, thank you, engineer.
Thank you.
Giang Hit Ung. Giang Hit Ung, are you here? Giang Hit Ung? Not here. Let me go to the next. Chong Do Yun. Chong Do Yun. Okay. Chong Do Yun. How many attributes or how many fields do we have in this Java class? How many fields or attributes?
Four.
Sorry?
I don't know.
Yeah. How many fields or attributes?
4.
Sorry, Chong Do Yun?
Yes.
Sorry? 4?
Yes.
Oh, no. Okay, then let me call next Chong So Hee. How many attributes or how many fields in this Java class?
Four.
4?
5.
You think 4? No,
I don't know.
you don't know. Okay. Chajiwan, how many fields or attributes in this Java class? Tajiwan, are you here? Tajiwan? No? Taegyudong?
Yes.
Okay, so how many fields or attributes in this Java class?
2.
2. Okay. So we have 2, which is X and Y. Okay. Thank you. Taegyudong. Okay, so it's not 4. I don't know how you can get 4. So this has only 2 attributes, X and Y. Okay. Now, Chesayo, Chesayo, are you here?
Yes.
Okay. So what does it mean by double?
Data type.
Sorry,
Data type.
data type. Okay. So it means this method will return a double data type. That's good. Now, Chaewon-tae, are you here? Chaewon-tae?
Yes.
Okay. So what does it mean by the void?
And
Yeah. What is it? What does it mean by void? Yeah, Chaewon-tae?
return.
Do you know? Chaewon-tae?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you know what does it mean by void?
Return.
No. Okay, let me call Ha-seung-gyu.
Yes.
Okay, so do you know what does it mean by void? Just guess. If you learn the method, there is a void. What does it mean by void? Yeah, you don't know? Okay. Hogan? Hogan?
Yes.
Okay, so do you know what does it mean by void?
Void.
Void, yes.
Empty.
Empty?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yes.
Okay. Let me call again Hwang In-soo.
Yes.
Okay, do you know what does it mean by void? Here is also void.
Declare that nothing returns.
So, sorry?
Nothing returns.
Okay, that's good. No return value. Okay, nothing to be written. So you can see this one, void, void. So no return value. But here, integer, integer. So we need to return integer value. We need to return integer value. And double. Okay, we need to return double value. Okay, so that's the meaning of every method. But the point here, we don't have anything. So it means it is not a method. If it is a method, you will have double or integer or void. But the constructor, you will have no definition. And then here we have private. Okay. So the private, if you take a look, on this private, means, can you see the difference? Every plus, okay. So every plus means it is a public. It is always set as public, 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 public. But minus. So we want to say it is a private. So if it is a private, then you will not be able to access the data. If it is public, you will be able to access from other class. So let's see if we have this one. I will just copy and paste. Okay, I will copy this one into this point, the Java. Okay, I will update this one. Okay, everything will be errors. Okay, no problem. Now, you will see something the same with the class diagram. Here is the same with the class diagram. Okay, now you can see the point refers to the Java class name. And then we have X and Y, it is integer, and those are in the red color. So the red color means private. Okay, that's the Eclipse shows with the red color. But if we are making the class diagram like this one, we put the minus to indicate it is a private. And you can see here, all the all the methods and the constructor are in the green color. So the green color means the public. So we have point and we have two integer as the parameters. We have distance from origin, and then we have get x, it is integer, get y, it is integer. Set location, we have two parameters, and then it is a void. And then we have translate, two parameters, and then it is void. Okay, so in your team project, later you need to make this class diagram. And your class diagram should be the same with the class diagram shown in the Eclipse. Okay. So you know that this class diagram is the same with the outline. So I will check in the final report. I will check your code with your outline. So if we have this point class, okay, I will just leave the point main testing, point main 3, point main 4, just leave it error like this one. But now I would like to focus on the point main 5. Okay. Because in the point main 5, now you can see in the point main 5, we have P1 and we want to get the value of X with a method. So first we declare 5,2, we declare 4,3 for P2, and then we want to get X, get Y for the P1, and then we want to get X for P2, and we want to get Y for the P2. Okay, now we have also the translate. Okay, let me check. I just want to call you Wang Insu. Oh, I think I already called
Yes.
you. So I will go to the next one here. What is the result of P2 after we translate? Out here?
You called me? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, okay. So what is the result of P2 after we translate?
6,7.
6,7. Okay, that's good. Okay, so the result is 6,7. And the way to get the value is not using the P2 comma X like this one, because now X is private. You cannot access the X directly. In order to access the X, you need to access from the method, which is getX and getY. So if you run this one, you will get like this one. P1 is 5,2, P2 4,3, and the new of P2 is 6,7 because we add the P2 with 2,4. Okay. So this is the point main 5. Okay, so you can see the result. So what is the benefit of this one? Okay, why we need to use this kind of encapsulation? So this will provide the abstraction between object and its client. So I can know what I can share to the client. I know what I can make it public to the client, and I can know what I should make private. Yeah. There's another issue about how to protect the unwanted access by the clients. For example, a bank application forbids a client to change the account balance. So for example, when you make your team project, if you want to make an online shop, of course, you do not want the consumer to change the price. So you need to make the price as private. And it allows you to change the class implementation. So if you use the encapsulation, then, for example, I have the point is using X and Y. How about if I want to change to radius and angle? So yeah, it will be easier for you if you have more details about the class implementation or the behavior. And we can allow some constraint object state. For example, in the points, we want only positive values or non-negative coordinate. Then we can make condition. Okay, so the remaining are exercise. Okay, I hope that you understand about this one. Now, let me ask. Kang Hyojung? Kang Hyojung? Are you still in the hospital? Okay. Seems Kang Hyojung cannot listen to my voice. Okay. Okay, let me call one more time. Chang Jin-woo, are you here? No? Cha Ji-won? No? Okay. And let me ask to all of you. So how many methods do we have here? How many methods do we have here? We have 4. Yeah, that's correct. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now we have one constructor. So we have 2 parameters. We have 2 parameters because we have 2 variables or 2 attributes or 2 fields. Okay. So the class student have two fields or two attributes or two variables, and we have one constructor, and we have 4 methods. Okay. Now you need to write a client program that enters some student. So access the student class, which have 2 attributes. So you need to have name and GPA, and return the maximum and the average of GPA from all objects. So let's say I want to enter number of students 3. So the student 1 will be Bob, and the student 1 GPA is 2.5, and the student 2 name is Chloe, the student 2 GPA is 3, the student 3 name is David, and the student 3 GPA is 3.10. So the student with the best GPA is David. Why? Because this is the maximum among the other GPA. And the average GPA is 2.86. How? How we can get this one? So 2.5 plus 3 plus 3.10 divided by 3. Okay. Now let's see the student class. I think I have this one. This is the student class. We have name, it's a string, and then GPA in the double. And then, okay, I will explain to you about this later. So we have get name, we have get GPA, we have set name, and we have set GPA. Okay, so this is the class diagram. Okay, so you can see this one, and it's similar with the class diagram in the PowerPoint. What about the student main? Yeah, this is the student main. So we make the array. Okay, I guess I will explain this one on Monday. Okay, because of the time. So please try to review all the things. On Monday, I will continue to explain this one, and I will give you one practice assignment in the Guru about how to make the class. Maybe I will give you one class diagram, and then you will do with the Guru to make the main or the client program, something like this one. So we will study more about this client program. And before we finish the class, I would like to mention that next 2 weeks, okay, next 2 weeks, you will meet me, okay? So you will meet online with me to discuss about the team project. So I think now you can start something about the team project because you already know about this object oriented. And next week, we will start to learn about the user interface. So it means you can try to imagine what kind of user interface you will create to combine with all the contents that you already learned until now. Okay. Okay, then any questions, comments?